Most shooters do not get burned because they bought a bad cartridge. They get burned because they bought the wrong rifle wrapped around it. And nowhere is that more obvious than the 30-30 lever gun market in 2026, because the name on the barrel does not tell the whole story anymore. A rifle can have history. It can have a famous logo. It can look perfect under gun store lighting, and it can still be the wrong buy once you carry it in the woods. Try to mount glass on it, or start asking what you actually got for the money. Somewhere around 2013, a man walked into a gun shop and did what a lot of American deer hunters have done for generations. He picked the rifle his father trusted, a Marlin 336, a 30-30, the old cartridge that helped build the American deer woods. He carried that rifle home brand new in the box. Then he looked closer. The sights were canted. The action felt like it had sand packed inside it. The screw holes were stripped from the factory. He paid good money for a legend. What he got was junk with a famous name stamped on the side. And he was not alone. There were thousands of buyers just like him. Those rifles got a nickname that stuck, and it did not stick because people loved them. That is where this ranking starts. Because what happened to one of the most trusted names in lever guns is the same lesson every buyer needs to remember today. The logo is not the value. The legend can be overpriced. The budget rifle can be the smart buy. And the most expensive option is not always the most capable one. Today, we are looking at the 30-30 lever guns you can realistically buy in 2026. Not as museum pieces, not as family stories, as working rifles. The kind a real buyer has to pay for, carry, scope hunt with, and live with after the first range trip. A couple of these rifles are worth the money. One of them is mostly selling you history, and the rifle that lands at number 1 is going to make some people mad. Because it is the cheapest rifle here, and it may be the smartest buy on the whole rack. So let us start at the bottom. Why the 30-30 still matters. The 30-30 Winchester has probably put more white-tailed deer on the ground than any other cartridge in American history. It is the deer round your father carried, and his father before him. The rifle wrapped around it is the lever gun that built the deer woods. But in 2026, the shelf looks different. You have 5 names in this conversation: Marlin, Winchester, Henry, Rossi, and the Mossberg 464, which is basically a used rack gun now. The price tags run from about $600 to around $1,300. And here is the thing those price tags hide. They all shoot the same cartridge. They all push that cartridge at basically the same speed. So if the bullet is not doing anything wildly different downrange, something else is setting those prices. And about halfway through this list, I am going to show you the one feature that really separates these rifles. It is probably not the one most buyers expect. We are ranking every 30-30 lever gun you can realistically buy in 2026. Not by nostalgia, not by which logo your dad trusted, not by what looks best in a deer camp photo. We are ranking them by cold, dollar-for-dollar value. What you hand over at the counter, against what you carry out the door. Some of these rifles are worth every penny. At least one is charging you hard for the name on the barrel, and the rifle at number 1 is going to split the room. Because it is the cheapest gun on this list, and it is built in a country half of you already do not want to hear about. Stay with me for that one. If you are new here, subscribe. We do this every day. Now let us start at the bottom. We start with the Mossberg 464 because this is the one you cannot really buy new anymore. That tells you something. For years, the Mossberg 464 was the budget 30-30. Plain blued steel, hardwood furniture. A simple lever gun that undercut everybody else on price. Today, for practical buyers, this is mostly a used rack rifle. You will see them somewhere around $400 to $600, depending on condition. Here is the honest take. The 464 was always a price-first rifle. The action was serviceable, but it was never smooth. Nobody picked one up and confused it with a slick old Marlin or a polished Winchester. It worked, but it felt like what it was, a budget lever gun. The fit and finish were exactly what you would expect from the cheapest rifle in the case. Not awful, not special, just basic. And the aftermarket never showed up for it the way it did for the Marlin 336 pattern. That matters more than people think. Because value is not just what you pay today. Value is what happens 5 years from now. Can you get parts? Can you get support? Can you get it scoped? Can a gunsmith keep it running without hunting all over the country for small pieces? For a hunting rifle you may only use a few weeks a year, support still matters. Because when something goes wrong in November, nobody cares what you saved back in July. Find a clean Mossberg 464 cheap, and it will kill deer for the rest of your life. A 30-30 through the lungs is still a 30-30 through the lungs. But a discontinued rifle with thin parts support and an action that was never its selling point lands at the bottom of a value ranking. The 464 was fine, but fine does not climb this list when the rifle at number 1 costs about the same and does more. Number 4, Winchester Model 94. Now we get to the one that is going to hurt, because the Winchester Model 94 is not just another rifle here, it is the rifle. When a man says 30-30, the picture in his head is usually a Model 94, that slim receiver, that light carry feel, that old Deerwoods profile. John Browning designed it in 1894, and it went on to win more Deerwoods than any lever gun ever built. The current rifles made by Moroku in Japan are beautifully put together. The fit is good, the bluing is good, the profile is still slim, and it carries like a proper woods rifle should. A current Model 94 runs right around $1,250, depending on trim and market. So why does the legend land at number 4? 2 reasons. The first is the big feature I told you was coming. I will hold that for a minute. The second is price. You are paying top-of-the-list money for a rifle that asks you to compromise the moment you want to mount decent glass. That matters in 2026. A lot of hunters are not 25 anymore. Eyes change, light fades. A clean low-mounted scope can turn a rifle you used to love back into a rifle you can actually hunt with. And this is where the Model 94 starts to fight you. The receiver was never really built around optics. When you put glass on it, the scope tends to sit higher and more awkward than it does on a rifle designed for easy top mounting. Your cheek weld changes, the balance changes. That slim, clean feel you bought the rifle for starts going away. The modern Moroku guns also carry a tang safety and a rebounding hammer. Those features are not the end of the world, but they are exactly the kind of modern lawyer-era touches that purists complain about as soon as they get home. Now, I am not here to talk anyone out of a Model 94 if that is what they really want. If you hunt close timber with irons or a peep sight, the 94 still has a balance the boxier guns do not quite match. If you want tradition, history, and the rifle your grandfather would recognize, this is still the one. But this is a value ranking. And the most expensive rifle here, with the biggest practical optic compromise, cannot sit higher than number 4. The name is real. The premium is real. Whether that premium is earned is the whole rest of this video. If you have ever argued about this stuff at a gun counter, you are in the right place. Subscribe. We do exactly this every day, one caliber at a time. Number 3. Henry Side-eject 30-30. This is where I lose some of the Henry crowd. And I am going to be careful. Because Henry owners are one of the most loyal groups in this whole category. They have earned that loyalty. Henry customer service is about as good as it gets. The rifles are American-made. They are smooth right out of the box. And the Henry Side-eject 30-30 has that polished heirloom feel a lot of buyers love. The brass receiver version especially has real presence. It looks good, it feels solid, and it is the kind of rifle people buy with the idea of handing it down. Street prices can move, but you are usually talking around the $900 to $1,000 neighborhood, with MSRP often higher depending on the model. So why number 3, weight and money? The brass-framed Henry is a heavy rifle for a 30-30. You are pushing about 7.5 to 8 pounds before you even load it. That does not sound terrible at the counter. It gets heavier when the truck is behind you, the ridge is in front of you, and daylight is running out. For a mild deer cartridge like the 30-30, that is a lot of rifle to carry. Now, weight is not always bad. It can make a rifle feel steady. It can soften recoil. It can make range sessions pleasant. But in the deer woods, weight always tells the truth. For years, the bigger knock on Henry was loading. The classic versions loaded through the tube, one round at a time, no side gate, like it was 1860. Henry finally fixed that with the side gate models. And if you are buying a Henry 30-30, buy the side gate version, not the old tube-only setup. The side gate matters. It makes the rifle feel like a practical working lever gun instead of just a beautiful throwback. The quality is genuinely excellent. The company stands behind the rifle, and nobody serious should call it a bad choice. It lands at number 3 because value math is cold. You are paying near the top of the practical rifle range for a heavier gun, while 2 less expensive rifles handle better and shoot just as straight. That is not a knock on the rifle. It is a knock on the value equation. The Henry side-eject 3030 is the craftsmanship pick, but it is not the strongest value pick. The feature that actually decides this list. Before we get to the top two, this is the part I promised you. The number that decides this ranking is not velocity. It is not raw power. It is not some tiny spec sheet difference. Here is the thing nobody selling you the expensive rifle says out loud. Every 30-30 here shoots the same cartridge to basically the same speed. The barrel lengths are all close enough that the cartridge does not care much what name is on the receiver. A 150 grain load out of a 20-inch Rossi and the same load out of a 20-inch Winchester are going to cross the chronograph close enough that it will not matter in the deer woods. Velocity cannot rank these guns. They are all doing the same job downrange. So what separates them? Whether you can mount an optic and still want to carry the rifle. That is where the legend stumbles. For most of its life, the Winchester 94 threw empty brass straight up out of the top of the receiver, right through the exact space where a scope would sit. That is why, for generations, a scope 94 meant an ugly offset side mount or a forward scout-style setup that a lot of buyers never loved. Winchester improved the issue in 1982 with angle eject. That kicked brass out to the side so you could mount an optic. So yes, the modern Model 94 can take a scope, but the box does not tell the whole story. The receiver was never shaped around that job. The scope sits high. Your cheek comes off the stock. The balance that makes a 94 carry like a dream starts to disappear, and a lot of owners end up pulling the scope off and going back to a peep sight. Now compare that to the Marlin 336 pattern, side eject by design, flat top receiver, drilled and tapped from the factory. A scope or red dot sits low over the bore, more like it does on a bolt gun. For 60-year-old eyes, that is not a small thing. Iron sights get harder every season. There is a real difference between a rifle you can scope and a rifle you can scope without ruining what made you want it. So from here on out, this ranking is not about which rifle is prettiest. It is not about which one is oldest. It is about which rifle sends the same bullet at the same speed and lets you aim it without fighting the gun. That is the feature. Hold it for the last two. Number 2, Marlin 336. Remember the man from the start? The one who carried home a brand new legend and got junk in the box? This is his rifle. And this is how that story finally turns around. For decades, Marlin built the 336 in North Haven, Connecticut. Those old JM stamped rifles are the ones collectors chase. That little JM inside a circle, stamped on the barrel ahead of the receiver, became a mark people trusted. Then Remington bought Marlin in 2007. Production moved, and the rifles from that period picked up the nickname Remlins. Not as a compliment, that was the era that broke a lot of hearts. Crooked sights, rough actions, bad fit, feeding issues. Rifles that wore the right name but did not feel like the same gun. Then Remington went bankrupt. Ruger bought the brand. They built production in Myodan, North Carolina. And this time, they got it right. The Ruger-made Marlin 336 Classic comes with a cold hammer-forged barrel, deep bluing, and an action that feels smooth out of the box. And here is what surprised a lot of old Marlin guys. Some owners with multiple JM originals in the safe are saying the new Myodan guns shoot tighter and feed cleaner than the Connecticut rifles they grew up swearing by. That is not a small statement. Marlin people do not hand out praise for free. One longtime Marlin man put it plainly. He never owned a pre-safety JM rifle that would reliably cycle the modern pointed tip loads. He never owned a Remlin that would feed anything but one specific brand. But the Ruger gun eats everything he puts in it. That matters. Lever guns have personalities. Some are slick, some are picky. Some look perfect until you cycle them with the ammo you actually plan to hunt with. The new Ruger-built Marlin 336 brought the confidence back. It is side eject. It scopes low and clean. No awkward compromise like the Winchester asks for. No cheek weld problem that makes you wonder why you mounted the optic in the first place. Price depends on trim and availability, but you are generally in the $1,000 plus zone, with some versions climbing higher. That is real money. But it is also the redemption story of the decade in lever guns. And more than that, it is a genuinely excellent rifle again. The new Marlin 336 is the pick for the buyer who wants the Marlin pattern without gambling on the used JM market or the Remlin years. The only thing keeping it out of the top spot is simple. The rifle at number 1 does the same job. It scopes the same way. It shoots the same cartridge at the same speed, and it costs hundreds less. This last one is the rifle I told you would split the room. So before we get to it, take 1 second and subscribe. There is a new one of these every day, and you are going to want the next one. Number 1. Rossi R95. The most capable dollar-for-dollar 30-30 lever gun you can buy new in 2026 is also the cheapest rifle on this list. And I know that sounds backwards. Cheapest rifle. Top of the list. But once you do the value math, it starts making sense. The Rossi R95 is a near-exact clone of the Marlin 336 Action. It is built around that pattern, and Rossi is a long-running Brazilian gun maker with a lot of lever gun history behind it. But Rossi did not just copy the basic layout and stop there. They changed a few things under the hood. The R95 uses a one-piece firing pin with a block safety and a modern spring-loaded extractor. The Marlin uses a two-piece firing pin and a stamped extractor. Now, the Marlin faithful will tell you that two-piece firing pin exists for a reason. They will say it is a safety feature, and that is a fair argument. So I am not calling the Rossi setup a clean win. Call it a different design, not automatically better, not automatically worse. But here is what matters most for this ranking. The Rossi R95 ejects to the side. That means the optic setup works like the Marlin. It is drilled and tapped from the factory. A scope or red dot can sit where it belongs. Depending on configuration and retailer, you can still see R95s in the low to mid $600 range, though the broader market can run higher. Lever gun prices move fast in 2026, so check the week you buy. For that money, you get the proven 336 style action, a hammer-forged barrel and accuracy that testers have put right on top of the Marlin. We are talking about 1.5 to 2 inch groups at 100 yards with factory ammo. For a 30-30, that is about everything the cartridge realistically has to give. This is not a 1,000-yard rifle. It is not trying to be. It is a practical deer rifle. And if it gives you that level of accuracy with factory loads, the target already told you what you need to know. Owners who have run the Rossi next to the new Ruger Marlin keep landing on the same uncomfortable conclusion. The trigger on the Rossi is often better than the Ruger guns, and it shoots just as straight. One owner bought his trapper for around $620 and called skipping a new Ruger Marlin at twice the price a no-brainer. That is the kind of statement that makes people mad. But it is also the kind of statement you hear when a budget rifle does more than people expected. Now let me give you the other side. Because if you have spent time around Rossi rifles, you already know where this is going. Rossi quality control can be a lottery. Some rifles come out slick and ready for deer season. Some feel rough at the lever. Some show feeding quirks. Some need attention before they feel trustworthy. That is the Rossi tax. You save money up front, but you accept more inspection risk at the counter. Their customer service also has a reputation for leaving some buyers feeling like they are on their own. That is the gamble. And it is a fair knock. Spend $300 getting a bad one fixed, and suddenly you are not holding the cheapest rifle on the list anymore. So here is the honest version. If you want the safest purchase, buy the Henry with the lifetime warranty. Or buy the Ruger-built Marlin and do not look back. If you want to hand over the money once and never think about it again, those are strong choices. Nobody serious should tell you that was the wrong call. But if you are willing to inspect one in person, work the action safely at the counter, and walk away from a rough one, a good Rossi R95 does about 95% of what the $1,000 rifles do. It scopes clean, it shoots straight, it runs the same basic action pattern, and it does it for a little more than half the money. That is not a rifle for everybody. It is a rifle for the man who knows what he is looking at. And that is the part the gun industry would rather you not sit with for too long. Around $1,250 on a Winchester, that makes you choose between an optic and the balance you bought it for. Around $1,000 or more on the reborn Marlin. Around $900 to $1,000 on the heavier Henry. Or roughly $600+ on a Rossi that shoots the same bullet at the same speed, scopes clean, and runs the same basic action pattern the $1,000 gun is built on. 4 price tags, 1 cartridge, 1 speed. The expensive rifles are better made. Nobody is pretending they are not. The Winchester is beautiful. The Henry has craftsmanship and customer service. The Marlin has the comeback story and the build quality to back it up. But better made and more capable are not always the same thing. The chronograph settles the speed argument. The receiver layout settles the optic argument. After that, what you are really paying for is fit, finish, warranty, resale value, and how much risk you are willing to accept. For a working deer rifle, for a prepper's lever gun, or for the man who wants a 30-30 he can still scope when his eyes start changing, the cheapest rifle on the list is the smart money pick. It outvalues the legend where it counts. And it does it for half the price. That is the ranking. The Rossi R95 wins on value. The Marlin 336 wins the comeback award. The Henry side-eject 30-30 wins on craftsmanship. And the Winchester Model 94 wins for the man who wants the legend, no matter what it costs. But I want to hear from you. I rank these by cold, dollar-for-dollar value. And the side-eject setup that lets you scope a lever gun cleanly weighed heavy in that ranking. You might weigh it differently. So tell me in the comments which 30-30 you would actually buy. And tell me which one you think I ranked dead wrong. For the men who own both, the Marlin or the Winchester, which one earned its spot in your safe? And which one has been a safe queen since the day you brought it home?